Live, and I'm joined by Sophie. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm hoping that this is going to work. Apparently it's our fault when the internet doesn't work, but you know what, let's take the L on that. But here we are, we're talking Manchester United, we're talking about a big dilemma for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Solskjaer's tough task, I would say, Soph. And I say this because I think he's got a few things he needs to sort out for sure. Lukaku, the performance yesterday. Also, I just feel that expectation is very high. We are 6 points off top four. We've won 5 games in a row. And mate, you know, the atmosphere inside Old Trafford was fantastic. And I'm loving the positivity. But are our expectations running away with ourselves? Because I just think, I thought about this more. I thought, you know, an injury to Pogba, an injury to Rashford, which is likely over the next 4 months. And where do we go? Because that second string team really never stood up to the plate yesterday in that game. And I also feel that from Solskjaer's point of view, he wants the job. Of course he wants the job. I want the job. I want him to get the job if he can get what we need to get. But can he do it? Is it realistic or is it mission impossible?
I think it's realistic. He needs to get top four. But at the minute, people say we haven't really played a proper team. So Spurs is a massive test for us this weekend. I think yesterday proved that we've got a lot of players who aren't good enough for United, players that we need to get rid of. If you think of the Newcastle game, Phil Jones makes another mistake. Yes, he got himself into trouble, but he's up against Rondon now. If that was against the likes of Kane or Son, then that would have been quite easily a goal. And I just think that just highlights the fact that we've got a lot of deadwood that he needs to get rid of. And I think if we're going to get top four, then confidence, because we're in the honeymoon period at the minute, confidence can only take you so far, and it's based a lot on ability. And we can't afford to make mistakes, the likes of mistakes that Jones makes, or Young when he switches off at the back post, for example. So I think those the likes of those players are the players that we need to improve on. And at the end of the day, we'll have the likes of Pogba. If, like you say, if one of them gets injured, then we can't keep carrying players, and we've done that for far too many years now. And yesterday was a big pointer for me where, yes, we were very poor across the board. Yes, he did play some kids. McTominay got a lot of stick. But I just think it just proves that we've got that many players that need to be shipped out in January. And obviously we need to strengthen as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people saying they want Solskjaer as the manager, and I think that's I'm very, very passionate about this at the moment, that I want to sort of deflect Ole from any sort of blame that might be coming at him down the line. And I know that sounds like a really odd thing to say when we're in such a positivity bubble, but I know what's coming down the line. Spurs, PSG, home and away, Liverpool, Man City. Do I think we're good enough to beat those teams even with our best 11? Probably not. And I think that's the problem that he's got, Soph, is that he is fighting with one arm behind his back, and he's throwing some big punches at the moment. I think his positivity, even after a terrible team performance yesterday. I mean, you know, we were talking before we went live. You've obviously played a match yourself today. You're still playing. And I think inside he would have been disappointed yesterday with the performance from players that are meant to go into that game. And I see a lot of people in the live comments today saying, oh, you know, they haven't had many minutes, Mark. You know, that's why they were so bad yesterday. We've played football. You're still playing football. That doesn't wash with me yesterday. And I think Solskjaer will be very frustrated that it's halfway through a season. He gives the second string a run out, and everybody, apart from probably Romero and Darmian, pissed it up the wall that was my fault. I was very harsh on the players because I really thought, sharpness or not, they were poor.
Yeah, I think I get, like, as a team, I get what people say. Oh, you haven't had a run of games in the team, for example, so it's going to be a bit jolty as such. It's not going to be as fluid. You're not used to playing with each other. I kind of get that, but individually across the board, we were very poor yesterday. And for me, it was complacency. I think we thought, oh, we got Reading at home, we're on a roll, we will just turn these over today, and we were very lucky, to be honest. In that first half especially, Reading had some very good chances, and I think we were really lucky to be going in the lead. And I just think that should be a wake-up call. We had, like, players on the pitch, Fred, for example, who should have taken his chance yet again yesterday, and he didn't. And I just think that complacency that's the only reason I can think that we didn't turn up yesterday.
It's funny, I got a message from my mate today. It's actually his 40th, and I grew up in Nottingham, so he's a Forest fan, and he left me a voice message. Well, I'd sent him a message, quite a nasty one, because we are quite nasty, calling him overweight and everything for his 40th, and said I look about 10 years younger than him. And he sent me a voice message back saying, I've just watched your match review, you effing hypocrite. If Mourinho's team had played like that yesterday, you would have been going mad. You would have been saying, played off the park by Reading, championship, relegation standard, load of crap, get Mourinho out. And you know what? It made me laugh because it's true. If that had been Mourinho yesterday, I would have gone mad because you're right. They did play us off the park. They were the better team. And if they could have finished their dinner, I think they would have beaten us maybe 4 or 5-2. But I don't think it's relevant. I don't know what you think. I don't think that's relevant because it's a totally different scenario now.
Yeah, we've already said as well, it's not going to be an instant, it's not a flick of a switch where Ollie comes in and then that's it, it's all rosy again at United. This squad, most of it, has obviously has failed for, 3 managers before. So it's obviously Deadwood is the problem. There's players who just aren't good enough for United, and yesterday showed that. I agree with your friend saying that if Jose would have pulled out that performance, yes, we would have been on his back, but I think the difference is we were 2-0 up, not really. I wouldn't say the game was dead and buried. We still looked very shaky, and he brought the likes of Chong on. No way would you have seen that when Mourinho was in charge.
You know what? I mean, there's a super chat I've got to read here as well. Apparently, it was the glasses that was causing the internet problem. I'm tempted to put them back on, and I'm not really. But I want to make it abundantly clear that if Mourinho had been in charge yesterday, I would have gone in on him. But I'm not going to go in on Solskjaer because I felt it was absolutely clear that it was the players yesterday who didn't grab the opportunity. We looked like a Mourinho team, so I think that was the thing. I mean, we know from the 4 games previously what Solskjaer's tactics are. They are intense press, move the ball very quickly. Those players, there's no way Solskjaer yesterday sent those players out and said, play the Mourinho way. Don't do what I've been doing for the last 4 games. Play the Mourinho way and give yourself next to no chance of getting in the first team. It was a very weird. It was a weird performance. It wasn't anything like Solskjaer's tactics. It was almost like those players did have a Mourinho hangover and forgot what they were meant to do because they just didn't move the ball quick. They didn't press.
Yeah. I think it proves that Rashford, his movement up top is very important to us. And I think we missed that yesterday. Rashford's movement up top. Lukaku, for me, he isn't cutting it. Yeah, he scored again. Then he seems to score every time he's playing at the minute. But it's just general hold-up plays, movement. I think that affects everything behind him. But you've also got to look at the likes of McTominay, very defensive-minded player. Probably shouldn't have played in that game against Reading. I don't think we needed him in there. And I just think Sanchez as well, another player who hasn't really played under Ole yet. But he was still in that Mourinho mindset. He kept putting in and trying that wonder ball. A good ball for Lukaku's goal, bro. I'm a bit worried about Sanchez, to be honest, because he doesn't look like the player he was at Arsenal. And yesterday, I was actually buzzing to see him play, thinking, yeah, he'll be a bit rusty because he's been injured, but he'll attack more and he'll be more direct. And he wasn't really.
No, Evening Ruth, a few people are rejoining us now after the disaster we had with the internet on the first one. So please do drop a like. We will always persevere. We don't give in. We'll come back again. And please do drop a like and support the channel for that. But there has been a super chat, which is a really good one, about Tim Sherwood and Ollie, which I want to talk about. But I want to stick with something that you were talking about there, so Lukaku and Sanchez. Now, that was something yesterday. If you had an opinion one way or the other, you probably didn't want to tweet about it if you're somebody who doesn't like criticism. Because if you backed Lukaku, you got a load of shit. And if you slagged Lukaku, you got a load of shit. And the same with Sanchez as well. I did a bit of an analogy at lunchtime, and I basically said Lukaku is a bit like a postman, like a crap postman, really. He will deliver every now and again if you set him up with a nice, easy one. But if it's anything that he's got to think about himself, he'll mess it up. And he has got 3 goals in 3 games.
Yeah, he has, and maybe super sub is his role then under Solskjaer because his general play, a good striker. Yes, they score goals, but it's everything else that goes with it as well. The hold-up play. When your team's under the cosh, you need a player who's going to run into the channels and keep the ball for your team and get them out of trouble at the back. And I just think Solskjaer will need someone like Rashford in his team who runs into the channels, gives more of an option. Whereas Lukaku, I'm not going to say he's lazy. I've said that in the past. I wouldn't say he's lazy, but he just doesn't seem to have that kind of mindset. And I think I compared his touch to Raheem Sterling's toddlers on my Twitter earlier because he just looks like he never has under control.
Well, he got that shot away in the first half, didn't he? And he nearly scored from it.
Yeah, if his touch was better though, that defender would have been left behind and he would have scored.
Yeah. Because
of his touch, he thought the angle was harder for him to score. Yeah, he's got a good striker, and we all know that about Lukaku. But the whole build-up, I think it baffles me. I think as a footballer, your touch is something that you practice from an early age, and he just doesn't seem to naturally have a touch.
It is amazing, isn't it? Somebody who's 26 this year. I mean, what I would say about Lukaku, and I want to try and be a bit even-handed, and say that if you give him chances, he will score 30, 40 goals in a season. He's proved that. And that is, not everyone can do that. So he deserves a pat on the back for that. But, and this is why he does well for Belgium, because you've got Hazard and De Bruyne. But, to be a top 4 striker, you've got to do things like Alan Shearer did, Ian Wright did, Stan Collymore did, Aguero does. Out of nothing, off your own back, create a goal. And he just doesn't he has done it, but he doesn't look like he can do it. And as a footballer yourself as well, this, I'm sure you'll back me up on this, I spoke about it at lunchtime, this is so frustrating. When you give somebody a pass and they can't control a simple pass, if you give them a tough pass and they lose possession, all right, you can live with that. But when you give somebody a simple pass and they gift possession away, they're just putting you under pressure for no reason. And that's the thing that I don't think the football purists, and I'm not being elitist here, people who maybe have never played the game, when you're gifting, it's hard enough when the opposition have got the ball anyway, but when he gifts position to the opposition for nothing, literally cannot control a simple pass. And it really will hurt a team that wants to try and win the title.
Exactly. Like, if you think about us, defensively, we're quite weak at the minute, liable to make mistakes. We're playing against PSG, we're under the cosh, constantly being battered, Mbappe, Neymar, Cavani running at our back 4, and they're clearing the ball up to Lukaku, simple balls to control, and he can't control the ball and it's just coming straight back. Eventually we're going to concede, aren't we? And I think that's the kind of thing with Lukaku that he cannot do. Considering he's such a big guy, he's an absolute beast and he should be able to palm defenders off, but he just can't. His natural ability to control the ball is just not there, and it baffles me as to why. If that was there, if he could control the ball, I think it would be phenomenal. I think he would destroy teams, but he just can't do that.
Smurfin McMurphin says, did you say Stan Collymore? Well, if you're not old enough to remember Collymore in your prime, sit down, because I am. I remember him at Forest and at Liverpool. I'm not saying he was an England striker, he never was, but there are similarities with Lukaku in relation to, I think they were both 6 foot. They are both about 6'3", and what I'm talking about is the big strong man can hold the ball up, and Collymore, especially if you look back to his Liverpool days, he could knock the ball into his feet, he could control it, turn and run at players. He had an ability to run at players, and Lukaku. This is what I'm on about. That's why I purposely said Collymore. He can create a goal out of nothing. Shearer could create a goal out of nothing. Ian Wright could create a goal out of nothing. Aguero creates a goal out of nothing. This is what I'm on about. Lukaku needs the chance to be created for him. Sanchez. What's your thoughts on Sanchez? My starting point with Sanchez, before I get sympathetic, because it's easy to be sympathetic to him, is that he is the best paid player in England. Are we getting anywhere near enough, considering he's being paid more than Hazard, Salah, De Bruyne, Aguero? I think people give him time and respect because they think, I'll give him a chance. But they forget that.
I think, no, to answer your question, no, we're definitely getting nowhere near enough. Yesterday, I'm not going to judge him too harshly because he's been injured. Obviously, he's only just really coming back. However, when he got the ball, he was still doing the same kind of thing where he's cutting in and trying to do that little dink over the top, which I find so frustrating. At Arsenal, he would have turned and, like you mentioned, Colin Moore, he would have turned and directly ran at players and made things happen. And I just think, I don't know, lost it. Of Arsenal fans obviously said when we signed him, but he just doesn't look like the same player. I'm not going to judge him too harshly yesterday because he has been injured, but in terms of his wages, then no, he's definitely not living up to that.
You know what I think it is about Alex Sanchez, and I don't know what people think at home. I'm looking at the live comments, and it is exactly as predicted. This half saying get rid of him, this half saying give him another chance. I mean, let's not forget, he's a year in now, of football, and he's not shown anything. He's also 31 this year, so even if he does show anything, how much time is he going to give us anyway? But what I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Soph, is I find him so predictable. I don't understand why he plays on the left, because every time he gets the ball, he cuts back onto his right and tries this little dinky chip pass, which 50% of the time doesn't come off. He doesn't seem to have any variety in what he's doing, and he seems to be very predictable, which, I don't know what you think, actually makes me think he was a very, very unpredictable player at Arsenal. Maybe Ollie, as a striker, can get in his head and reprogram what he's doing. And maybe he is suffering a bit of a Mourinho hangover where our build-up play was so slow that he always had to cut back to find a pass backwards because nothing was going on ahead of him. That's my only hope with him, is that maybe a few weeks under Solskjaer he'll get his... Because it just seems to be his decision-making seems to be very slow.
Yeah, at the same time, I want to see him in there with Rashford up top, to be honest, because Rashford will give him more runs than what Lukaku does. And I just think Rashford is very clever with his movement. Maybe he'll create space for Sanchez to maybe drive more direct at goal. I think Lukaku is very minimal in what he offers, either to feet or maybe that little dinking behind. That's pretty much it. So I think if you try him up there with Rashford, but I agree. I think it is a decision-making thing. He seems to think that he's got to cut in every time into that little pass, and it doesn't work most of the time. I'm hoping that Solskjaer can get the best out of him, because we all know the potential that he's got, and I'm hoping that it isn't because he's lost the yard of pace. When he was unpredictable at Arsenal, obviously he was very quick. He could turn players inside out, whereas at United we've not really seen that at all, which is concerning.
It is. It's really weird. I mean, I was moaning about it on Wednesday night. I don't know whether it's in his contract or something. I don't know why he has to play on the left-hand side, because to me, if you put him on the right, he can't cut back on his right, and he can do something natural.
He's got to try and beat a man then, hasn't he? He's got to try and beat him.
Yeah, and I'd just love to see... I personally think at the moment our first choice front three for Spurs is Martial, Rashford and Lingard. But I wouldn't mind Sanchez actually sorting his game out, and it won't be for Spurs, obviously, Martial, Rashford and Sanchez. I'd love that as a front three. But I don't want him going up against Martial. I think Martial's got that position laid down. We're going to talk about a few more things, but I just want to bring some of the super chats because there's a really good one here from Lee Bowlington. He says, Tim Sherwood at Spurs did the same thing. Ex-player, brought a feel-good factor in. Players loved him, but was sacked early the next season. Do you think... I mean, we haven't spoke for a few weeks anyway, so Solskjaer... Lee's got a good point there. I've mentioned it before. Roberto Di Matteo actually won a Champions League for Chelsea, and then it all went wrong the next season. An ex-player can come in and do a good job for 4 months, and then the next season it goes wrong. Do you want Solskjaer long term? I mean, it's not anti-Ollie to say it. I'm a bit undecided myself. There's certain things he's got to achieve for me to get the job. Or are you thinking, whatever happens, let's get Pochettino or Zidane?
My heart would love Ollie to get the job, but I think realistically, if I'm thinking with my head, we need to get top four in order for him to get that job, and that's just the way it is. I think he was brought in to bring back that feel-good factor, that alone really, and to unite the fans again. But I don't think it was setting any targets, but now top four is in sight. I think the board will be wanting him to achieve that. He definitely needs some help in January to achieve that. But I think if he does get top four, then why change something that's obviously working? I would love to keep him there. I think no matter who we get, it's going to be a risk. So if he does the job this season and we get top four, then of course I would love him to stay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I want Solskjaer to get the job, but I think he's got to achieve things that I don't think the club thought he could achieve. I think already he's surprised them how close to top four we are in a short space of time. I don't think they thought he could get top four. I think it was about gifting the fans some positivity, really. Rodney Francis has made a contribution. It's something I hadn't noticed, actually. He said, did anyone notice Carrick nudging Ollie's leg after Lukaku scored? Is that Carrick suggesting Lukaku is world class? I don't know whether you saw that, Soph. What would your interpretation of that be? Carrick giving Ollie's leg a nudge after Lukaku scored?
I didn't see that, no. But at the end of the day, if your centre forward is scoring goals, he's scored 3 and 3 now, of course you're going to be happy as coaching staff. Like you say, Solskjaer in his heart yesterday would have been a bit gutted with that performance. We were very slow, and he even said that we were very slow. We were too slow. Against Newcastle, we were too slow as well. But for me, I just think Rashford offers so much more. He's in the form of his life at the minute. I think I would take that from Carrick just as much as a bit of happiness at the fact that his centre forward has scored again. Because obviously that's always a good thing to see as a coach, isn't it? Your centre forward banging in goals, and hopefully you can go on a good run.
I think Carrick and McKenna are probably on trial more than Ollie, to be honest.
Yeah,
because the jury's got to be out on them. I mean, Mourinho takes all the blame, of course he does. But I think back to some of the goals we scored against Watford, and Carrick and McKenna and Mourinho are all high-fiving each other because some crap free kick routines come off.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, Young knocking a high ball to Fellaini who heads it down, and then Smalling scores, and they're like, yeah, high five. I'm like, it's not Barcelona level tactics, is it? It's pretty basic. So I think I want Carrick to do well because he's one of my favourite players. I think McKenna from the youth setup's great, but maybe he was nudging his leg because he thinks Lukaku's world class. Who knows? Because I think who knows how good Carrick is as a coach? Brilliant player, but maybe he might be Phil Neville class. You just don't know. So open eyes I think United fans need to have anyway. Let's have an open mind. Alex Williams says, I like Ollie, but now that Mourinho has been replaced by a yes man, the real problems at the club are coming back into focus. The club is criminally mismanaged. Until the people who run the club change, nothing will change. Well, you see, I suppose that one, Safe, is that, and thanks for the contribution, Alex, of course, that is a good point, because the honeymoon period will always end. I think when the first bad result happens, but maybe after yesterday, it's the first bad performance where we see so many bad performances beyond the first team. And maybe some fans are starting to think, well, is Ollie just happy to be here like a kid in a sweet shop? Or is he actually going to lay the law down with Woodward? If he got the job, would he just be a yes man? And if he is, we're going to probably be, for all Mourinho's criticisms, he clearly was openly, publicly battling the board. Would Ollie do that?
I think, like I've already said, Ollie coming in isn't going to be a quick fix. I've said there's been 3 managers post-Fergie now, so there's obviously problems that run a lot deeper. And I've always said that. And I do kind of agree with the comment that came in. I think at the same time, though, the club, surely they're worried about the gap between, it was City and us, but now City, Liverpool, us, and obviously the likes of Spurs and that as well. They're all on the up, and we're going through a proper shaky time. We only seem to be getting further and further away. So I think the club have got to realise as well, in order to get back to the top, that a lot of changes need to be made, especially with the squad. So I just think, give Ollie the chance. Tactically, obviously, we haven't really seen him against a major team yet. Spurs, I think, would be a true judgment. And if we get top 4, I think he does need backing for the board. I don't think he'll be a yes man as such. I think he knows the United way, same as Phelan. They know the United way. They all want players who are going to fit into their philosophy, really, which isn't going to be defensive. And that's what us as fans want to see. We just want to see attacking football back at United.
I tell you what, I just want to say what a fantastic comment that was from Alex as well.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's Christmas and New Year is over, isn't it? And the honeymoon period is over. And I think there was so many problems with Manchester United beyond Mourinho. And I think it's a great point. We all love Ollie, but he clearly is so in awe of this job. He loves it, and we're feeling the benefits of that. But if he was going to come in and just be, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir, to Ed Woodward and the Glazers, nothing's going to change, really, for all his passion. So really good point, Alex. And it's certainly something, it's perfect for the channel, really, because we do need to, keep our eye on certain things like that, because we don't want to be deluded Arsenal fans and set ourselves up for a fall. Ben Folan, thanks, Ben. He says, who would pay Alexis Sanchez his wages if we decide to sell? I mean, that's a cracking point, Soph, as well, because we got him for free. So we'd want a transfer fee and somebody'd have to pay his wages. I mean, exactly. Again, I feel like this about Lukaku as well. Who's going to pay us 90 million for him? Because that's what we paid. We can say Martial's got to play on the left and Rashford's got to play up front, but we could end up in a situation where the club are like, no, you've got to play Sanchez and Lukaku because of how much we paid for them. I mean, best paid player in the league, he's got to play, really.
Yeah, I agree. But that just highlights, doesn't it? It's not like the manager isn't the forefront of the problem, is it? It's obviously the board and what goes on behind the scenes, making wrong decisions all over the place. And if you look at some of the decisions that Arsenal made in terms of their squad contracts running right through to the end, Ramsey's a good example. He was captain like 2 weeks ago and now he's going to Juventus, which baffles me. But I just think that there's plenty of decisions in the back, and Sanchez was one of them. He's being paid far too much to be underperforming the way he is. Lukaku, we overpaid for him massively. But it worries me because that's out of Ollie's hands, isn't it? Decisions like that are out of his hands. He can't do anything about that, really. That's the club's decision, and that's where Woodward comes into the frame, because that's bad business.
And that's the point of the show, really. I mean, we had people on the previous stream that broke saying, well, what's the dilemma? And I think everything we've spoken about is sort of the purpose of the show is to show that Ollie's job is almost mission impossible. It was when he came in. Get top 4, 11 points behind 2 teams ahead of you. Solve the problems out when your two players you shouldn't be playing are your most expensive player and your best paid player. And this is a manager who's been managing in Norway, a pub league, and yeah, he's a club legend, and yeah, he loves the club, and he's doing a great job. But he's got problems most managers of experience would really struggle to deal with, and this is what I mean. This is his dilemma, and we've said it a couple of times. I do feel he's doing a fantastic job, and he's got definitely at least one arm tied behind his back. I mean, Philip Burtonwood says Ollie needs a chance. We've tried Mourinho, who's won things. That hasn't worked. Ollie's obsessed with Fergie's philosophy. I mean, that's the positive side, if you want Solskjaer, is that Sir Alex Ferguson is at the club. He has spoken to him. He does have him involved. And obviously, what better guru than that? But talking about hands behind the back, I think we spoke about it on the previous stream. That's now disappeared, so we should talk about it again. January transfer window. Do you think that they're going to give him any money to spend? I think he deserves it. He's got it down to 6 points off top four. 50 million could be the difference between getting top four and not now.
Yeah, I said that realistically when they got Solskjaer in, I think they were thinking, get the players playing again, play with smiles on their faces, let's reunite the fans, get the club feeling good again, with no real targets in terms of where to finish in the league. But now top four is in sight, I think the board will be thinking, we need to strengthen in January because it's achievable. At first, I thought they wrote the season off and they were thinking it's not going to be achievable. We've got a caretaker manager and it's just about getting the football, improving on the pitch and the fans to enjoy it again. But now it's in sight, I think, realistically, the club should be thinking it's doable, but we definitely need to strengthen.
Just a super chat here from Trevor G. He says, ex-player takes over a top team and it goes wrong. You cite Di Matteo, ex-player takes over a top team and it goes right. I cite Zidane and Guardiola. Which do you choose to believe? Hey, I'm not citing either. I'm just throwing out opinion, isn't it? Paul Massey says, my problem with Ollie getting the manager's job permanently is that at the end of the season we're going to need big name players, and I feel we need a big name to attract top class players. Zidane would certainly give you that. I don't know whether Pochettino would, but Zidane would. But does the club want to buy big name players? That's the thing, isn't it? It's all about the money. And Nicholas P. Koulibaly is the type of beast-like player Sir Alex would have unveiled to help us mount a serious title challenge. In the summer of 1998, he did exactly that with Jaap Stam, and the treble followed. I mean, what if you had 50 million to spend in January? So where would you be looking? A lot of people were saying right midfield yesterday, but I think we've got too many options to do that, even though I would. CDM, maybe we need a midfielder, or do you think it's the obvious centre-back, which is what a lot of people feel?
I think centre-back, that's where I would personally choose. I think Lindelof's improved a lot, but he's, like I said, Phil Jones, I mentioned earlier, liable to make mistakes, and Solskjaer's playing him at the minute, but against top teams, let's face it, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to cost us points. And I think that is the position we need to strengthen. Boy's injured all the time. He's also a bit rash. So I think that's the option I'll go for. And if I'm being honest, I said all along, I think Toby from Spurs would be the player that we'll end up getting because it's the easiest deal to do in January. But Koulibaly would be my ideal choice.
Yeah, in fact, Transfer Daily's on tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It's back Monday to Friday, and funnily enough, we're talking about the centre-back choice, so I won't go into it too much, but obviously Soph's had her opinion there. I'll give you mine in the morning. Mike Hill says, I'm not sure you can judge Ollie on top four because Chelsea just might not drop enough points. Ollie can't help that. Well, that goes back to what we were saying, Soph, doesn't it? You know, when you look at it 4 weeks ago, mission impossible. 11 points off top four, negative goal difference. Chelsea and Arsenal to get past. Here we are now. We're nearly on the same goal difference as Arsenal. We're only 3 points behind them. We're 6 points behind Chelsea. Chelsea have got to come to Old Trafford, so you'd say if we win that, it's 3 points. Massive, massive opportunity for us to do it. I don't think he gets the job if we don't get top four, even if people think it's unfair. I don't think he would get the job. I think he's got to, and I still don't think he'll definitely get the job if he does, but I think to have any chance, he's got to get top four. I don't know whether you think there's any other scenario that he could get it.
No, I agree. I think top four will be the threshold now. If he gets that, then I think the board will keep him in because, like you said, it was mission impossible. So for him to achieve that, he's fantastic with the squad that he's got as well. And the position that he took over, the club was obviously in a mess. Fans weren't enjoying what they were seeing. So if he gets top four, then I think that is the target now. It should be the target for Solskjaer. And I get what you're saying about Chelsea, but at the end of the day, we just need to beat the teams in front of us. Focus on ourselves, focus on whether we play, get our identity back, and then let other teams drop points because they will. It's a long season at the end of the day and they will drop points.
We've got to keep winning. I mean, Jeff Hepner says, I'm worried about Ollie not putting fear into egos. I mean, we talk about 5 wins. We got a massive game a week today against Spurs. And whatever anybody thinks about Spurs, they are a fantastically consistent side. And they are a very, very good side. And they are a better side than us. And if we were to lose next week, then obviously our bubbles burst. I suppose the positive thing from yesterday is we know what our best midfield three should be, Pogba, Pereira, Matic. We know what our best front three should be, Lingard, Rashford, Martial. That's something we never really had under Mourinho. We know Lindelof, like you mentioned, Luke Shaw, left back, the Hair in goal. So it's only really centre-back next to Lindelof and right-back that there's a little bit of uncertainty about. What chance do you give us against Spurs? Because if we can go and win there, then it's really game on.
I think we need to look at the Wolves' performance. I don't know if you watched that game, Wolves against Spurs, but first off, Wolves gave Spurs far too much respect. They were backing off them, they're giving them too much time on the ball. Kane scores a belter. But then in the second half, Wolves obviously thought, well, we've got nothing to lose, and they attacked Spurs. And I'll tell you what, at the back, Spurs didn't like being put under pressure. And I think if we take a leaf out of Wolves' book and we attack Spurs, then we stand more of a chance. So I think if we lose at Spurs, yeah, it is a bubble burst, but I think it's more about if we lose, how do we lose? If we are attacking and we are creating chances, and if we're unlucky in that game, then it's a bit different to parking the bus like Mourinho did and basically waiting to concede.
You know what? I mean, Mike Phelan I think he spoke to MUTV last night and he said it's going to be a great game of football, and people are going, oh, he's hinting that we're going to go for it. Look, I don't think he's hinting at anything. I think it's bloody obvious from the 4 league games that we've played that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not going to go to Spurs and park a bus. That's not what he's going to do. He will try and keep us compact when we haven't got the ball, but he will try and move the ball quickly and press the opposition, which is basically what Spurs do. So it's going to be brilliant. And also there's the bigger thing that neither of us have mentioned: Solskjaer against Pochettino, the potential 2 next Manchester United managers. I tell you what, if Solskjaer wins that game, I think there'll be such a clamour around him. I think Pochettino's chances will be gone, and be interesting how that game's going to go. But I'm like you, I'm quietly confident. I mean, we went there and beat them in the FA Cup semi-final with Mourinho, and I think Spurs against the top teams, there always is a question mark about their mentality.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, in that game you mentioned, I think Sanchez, if I remember rightly, that's one of his best games for United.
Yeah.
Against Spurs in that game, he was quality. So maybe give Sanchez a game against Spurs, because maybe he likes playing against them. Might be a bit of a confidence boost for him. Why not? But I agree, he won't go and park the bus there. He'll try and keep us compact, but he'll want us to move the ball quickly. And he already said if we defend like we did at the weekend, then we won't have a clean sheet. So we will address those issues. But I'm quite confident for that game. I think as long as we attack Spurs, I think they're liable to concede goals.
CDW Prodigy says, we're not having Pochettino if Solskjaer wins. I mean, I think that's, again, the dilemma that Solskjaer has is that he has got no room for error. He's got no room for error. And that's, again, there's so many things that he's inheriting that are just not his fault. I often think if we got rid of Mourinho after that Newcastle game, I mean, what did we drop after that points wise? We beat Bournemouth, we beat Everton, we drew to Chelsea. I mean, it's more the games around Christmas, isn't it? The draw at home to Palace, the Southampton draw, the Arsenal draw. There's enough points.
Valencia as well.
Yeah, Valencia. So there's enough points there. But he's inherited it at a terrible time, and we lose against Spurs, and I think Chelsea and Arsenal have got winnable games, and that gap goes up to 9 points off 4th again as well. So there is just no room for error for Ollie, and I just hope we can get something next week. But even a draw is it's better than a loss. But I do think we need to go and win. I want to ask you this, Soph. Keep or let go. There are 6 Manchester United players who are at this moment in time are free to go in the summer. So they'll go for nothing in the summer. There's 6 players, and I want you to say, I'm going to go one by one. Keep or let go. Juan Mata.
Keep.
I thought it was shit yesterday.
31
in April?
It was crap yesterday, and I'll give him that. But people forget Mata scored some important goals for United. They're playing him out on the right wing. That's no position. I'll tell you what, it's a tough one because I love Mata, and I think he's been so good and so professional for United, and he's got one of the best first touches I think I've ever seen of a player. But for me, we don't play a system to fit him in. That's a concerning thing. But judging on ability, I'm going to say keep.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 split, and I think it's like you say. I love Mata, but let's go back to what I said a few minutes ago. If we want a right midfielder, we've got to get rid of either Mata, Sanchez, Lingard, Rashford, or Martial. And out of those 5, I think Mata's got to go. Based on age.
He's a number 10, isn't he? He's a number 10, that's the thing.
Yeah. I think he's gone backwards at United. 6 years of playing out on the right midfield because we don't play a number 10. We should never buy number 10s. We don't use one. It is a shame. Ander Herrera.
Keep.
Yeah, I don't think we need to dwell on that one. I think Herrera's got to stay. Phil Jones?
Get rid.
Yeah, don't need to dwell on that one either. I mean, Darmian, he's not done anything wrong, but Darmian was the better centre-back yesterday, and he's not even a centre-back. Go on.
I thought he was the one player who impressed me yesterday, and he was the one player for me. He looked decent at centre back. He's playing his position, and he had a decent game. To be honest, part of me thinks we should keep him just as a backup because he gets drafted in whenever we're short of players. But if we're signing another centre back, then I'll get rid.
I think keep Darmian only if you're going to play him as centre
Yeah,
back because he's a crap
if he's
right
happy
back
to
because he
do
can't
that,
attack, can he? But
no.
He's captain of Deadwood FC, Darmian. I'd get rid of him. Valencia.
Get rid.
Yeah. We're in trouble down the right back position because Delo didn't play great yesterday.
I'm not sure on Delo again. I don't know. I think he lacks pace and I'm undecided. He puts a good ball in, that's for sure. But other than that, he hasn't really shown much.
You know what I think? I don't think many players deserve much second chances from yesterday. But what I would say about Delo is that yesterday he's got McTominay and Mata ahead of him, both who were very slow. So he didn't really have any opportunity to build. You can't just start at right back and skip past players and put a cross in. You've got to have some triangles and movement, and he didn't have any of that. So it's probably
no, we had no momentum, did we?
Yeah, so it might be a little bit unfair on him. A player I thought it wasn't unfair on, who was the captain, Ashley Young.
I think, to be honest, he's been a good servant to the club, but I think we need to re-strengthen in that area. So I'd say get rid. But I think for the change rooms and he's obviously a good character to have at the club. People will probably say keep him, but for me, if you're going on the pitch, I'll get rid.
I would get rid of him unless you're going to play him as a winger, because everything Ashley Young does that people defend him on, like even yesterday, had a good couple of runs when he was up in the wing position. They're like,
he gets caught out at the back.
Yeah, Ashley Young's a good fullback. Look at him when he goes forward. Because he's a winger, he's terrible at the defensive side of the game, but when he's in the final third, he can score a goal, he can whip a cross in, he can create things because he's a winger. This is the thing, he's a terrible left back. So I would say, why don't we play him on the wing or get rid? But I would agree with you on that one. Probably the toughest one, Andres Pereira.
I'm going to be honest enough. It kills me to say it because I love Pereira, but I'm going to say get rid because I don't think he'll be given the opportunities at United. I can't see it happening. So I would say get rid because I think he's got fantastic ability and I think for his own career, he needs to go, but not to a rival.
Yeah, you know what? I think yesterday was my West Ham Mourinho moment, really. That was when I became Mourinho out. And I love Pereira as well. But yesterday I was disgusted with his performance, really. I know people say, he's not had many games. And I know I stuck up for him in the Valencia game for Mourinho, where him and Fred were very rusty. But I just think there's not being match sharp and there's actually being able to make a tackle and position yourself and play a pass. And I thought his performance yesterday just looked a little bit disengaged. And I think maybe it's a shame, but I've got to be honest, you've got to put the club before the player. And I just don't. I think yesterday was a big moment for me with Pereira. And I hope I get proved wrong.
I do feel for him at times though because he was in good form. He obviously played pre-season. He's one of our better players, and then all of a sudden he gets ditched again. And I can kind of see why he'd be frustrated as well. That's why I said for his own benefit, he's obviously got ability, and I think he needs to leave United.
Well, Paul Robinson's hit the nail on the head. He says it's one game, Mark. What about pre-season? And exactly, that's why we like Pereira. But I agree with Soph. I think where's he going to get the run of games to be the player he was in pre-season? I don't think he's going to get the opportunities. So. I think there is a solution for Pereira. We just have to hope that there's one found with the club there. But Fred, What about Fred? £50 million for Fred, and it was. I actually disagreed with him being subbed. I don't know. We were at the Wolves game a few months ago, and he got subbed by Mourinho after an hour, and he was probably the best player on the pitch. He wasn't the best player on the pitch yesterday, but I don't think he was the worst midfielder, and he seemed to get really humiliated by being taken off after an hour. But I thought McTominay and Pereira were easily as bad as him, yet he got pulled for Fellaini. I thought Solskjaer was obviously very unhappy with him.
Yeah, I think I would keep Fred for now because I think give him a little bit more time. And I know I'm being generous because he hasn't really impressed me. But that Wolves game sticks in my head. We were very, very poor, very lacklustre, and he stood out for me. He was very tenacious, trying to get the ball back. He scored. He almost scored a worldie of a free kick as well. I think he has got potential. I don't know if he's trying a bit too hard at the minute or what it is. Maybe he just needs a run of games. But City wanted him, and part of me thinks, did we just sign him because City wanted him just to kind of win that battle? But I'm hoping that he comes good for United. I think he has got the potential to. So I'll give him a bit longer and I'll say keep.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is trying too hard. I think yesterday's in that Pogba position, and maybe needs a couple of. I mean, I think the difference with Fred and Pereira and McTominay is McTominay, I don't get it, and Pereira, maybe he's not going to get the opportunities, but Fred, he's only been here 6 months. He cost 50 million quid. He wasn't treated well by Mourinho, and I think they've got to try, like Lukaku and Sanchez. Really, you can't just give up on them because of how much we've invested in them. You've got to at least give them the next 6 months and not just forget about them, and really try and get the best out of them. And all I say about Fred is I've seen him play for Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League, and he's a good player. We've just seen nothing of it, and maybe it is a confidence thing. Maybe he's not settled in Manchester. Who knows? We haven't got a great record with Brazilians for some reason, but
give him time. That's what I say. Give him a bit longer.
Yeah, definitely give him a bit of time. But going back to what we were saying there, the worrying thing is that we're short, aren't we? We're definitely short as a squad. That I really wanted to see some players step up to the plate yesterday and sort of knock on the of the first team, and I don't think anybody did. So we're really heavily reliant on that, the players like the Pogbas and the Martials and the Rashfords, and even the Matiches, who I don't think Matic is fantastic, but he's certainly better than anything that was around yesterday.
Matic is a different player under Solskjaer, though. Let's not forget that. Yes, I know he's slow and he hasn't got much pace, but he can pick a pass. Like some of the passes in between the lines, he can pick a pass. When he passes forwards, he's really effective. So I think we do need to strengthen that position in future because he's obviously getting on. Like I say, he hasn't got much pace, but I think he's a different player under Solskjaer, and he needs credit for that because he has been more positive.
I think I'm happy with Matic to play the midfield position with Pereira till the end of the season, but I think if you want to win the title in the summer, we're going to have to, we need some more tenacity and speed in there. Shivam Nira says Pereira was poor because of Fred, McTominay and Lukaku. Well, I don't know. He did miss pace and passes himself as well. Mike Hill says sign Gandalf as a centre-back. You shall not pass. Hamza Hamid says you should... No, I'm not going to read that, sorry. And I think, okay, so we're up to date. Well, I think we're just about done. Well, I'm just very, very pleased, Soph, that we managed to do a show because we were looking like we were going to be in trouble at one point, but we've got there in the end, and it's good to have on. How does it feel to be on a Sunday show and not be on with rants butting in on you every time? I said that on the previous show. We've got no rants tonight, and when he's on with Sophie, he seems to think his name is Rants and Sophie because even when I address Sophie, he butts in. But they are back with Rants and Flex on Tuesday at 1:00. But it's been nice having you on, Soph.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate, obviously, being given the chance to speak on my own as well. So it's really good. Thank you. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
No, you're more than capable, as you know. And hopefully, 2019, trying to sort out a new match for us. Now that we've beat them lot from down south, we're trying to arrange another game, not with them, upwards and onwards against better. But what was I going to say? Please do drop a like on the video, everybody. Subscribe if you are new. And Football Daily. Transfer Daily is back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Monday to Friday, talking transfers. Discord show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, first one of the year, so we'll be taking your calls. It seems ages since we've done that. It seems ages since we've had Soph on as well on Sunday Night Live. And yeah, another week starts, so we'll see what happens. And then we're building towards Spurs. So yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Siron. Not all. I just want to. Siron, you've emailed me and now you've got caught on a live comment. So Siron emailed me and said, "Why did my fan cam not go up?" We record loads of fan cams. Not all of them go up. So don't take it personally. Just next time you're on, maybe go for it a little bit more. I don't know, but we can't put every fan cam up because we do about 30. So people will get bored of them. But that's your answer, Siron. And I did email you about it. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for coming on, Soph.
Thank you. And good evening to everyone, and Happy New Year as well, because I haven't had a chance to say it yet, so thank you.
There we go. And I think I've said it loads, so there we go. Back to school tomorrow. Back to school for you, Sophie, tomorrow?
Sadly, yes. Back tomorrow.
So you're not a school child. You're definitely overage, but
yeah,
works in the school. But no, really enjoyed the show. Thanks everyone for watching, and back tomorrow with you. And enjoy the start to your week. And Rooney got arrested. He's not a United player anymore, so I'm not really bothered. Thanks for watching. The amount of people in the live comments who've just been going, Rooney's been arrested. Are you going to talk about it? I'm like, I'm sure it